connect with him. All right, at this time, we're on item 5, public hearings, notice of public hearing, Pender County school bonds. The Pender County,
I was on, but you cut me off.
Okay, could you hear?
Yes.
Okay, it's not coming through the phone, so I don't think they can hear you. So just stay on here,
Okay.
okay? And I'll cut you up. Okay. Sorry.
the Pender County Board of Commissioners has called a public hearing at 4 p.m. today related to the following bond order. So at this time, we will open the public hearing. Okay. Come on, Dr. Hill.
Mr. Chairman, we do have some comments in public signups.
Okay.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you, as always, for supporting us and working with us in the collaborative events that's happened in the last almost 2 years now. We've been working towards this bond. And just want to thank you guys so much for supporting the school system through everything that's been going on. And not only just trying to take care of the population, but trying to take care of our physical and mental health as well, as we've gone through some trying times in the last couple of years. So as we reach towards the future, I just want everybody to know that what we're talking about today is not about kids that are coming. We're not preparing for the stuff that's being built. Everything we're talking about today is about people who are here. These are kids that are in your schools right now and kids that are getting ready to enroll in your school right now. So I just want to make sure we understand that we're not preparing for anything. We're trying to respond to what's already happened. So in that sense, I just wanted to do a quick overview of how we got here, follow up on Mr. McGibbon's study. If you remember him, he came a couple times, I think, and presented. So we've kind of taken that hour presentation and got it down to maybe 5 minutes for you. Just make sure this works. There we go. So if you would, this is prior to the last bond, the build, not the bond itself, but the actual finished construction. We made this very easy for people to understand. We color coded it and put it in kind of a size chart. It basically dictates if you see red or you see deep purple, that's just like everything else you think. The more it hurts, the redder it is. And that's pretty much what's happening here on this map. This is elementary schools in the county. And as you see, the red ones are all on the east corridor over towards the middle as you move towards Rocky Point area. There are some green ones, which are very nice. As they turn yellow, that's when you need to be starting to plan for your next school building. So that's when this discussion needs to happen for the next one. So I just want everybody to understand, across this county, we're starting to see population growth. I know you guys know what we're trying to provide utilities, and it's coming from just more than one direction. So this is 17-18. We finished building a couple of schools in Pender Lee. So we built the Surf City schools, and as you see, the color changes. We get everybody back to yellow, but with one throbbing red down there right in the middle. So you could definitely understand that's the Topsail Elementary site, and we do have the principal here tonight, Ms. Wilson. You lay your hand there. Thank you for coming tonight. So there were some issues there, but you see that we got everybody back to yellow and orange. Still in the planning stage. We knew something was coming, but we needed to be working towards it. But even then, Topsail Elementary was over capacity. You get to 21, 22, and we did look at the numbers from last year. This report does not include the numbers today. So the numbers are steadily increasing because, as you know, everybody doesn't pre-enroll their kids for kindergarten. A lot of times they wait until the week before school, sometimes the 2 weeks after school, which is a problem. So if I can take 2 seconds, please get your kids enrolled today. We need those numbers because if we don't have those numbers, we don't get allocations from the state, and we don't have funding. So we had to teach those kids for a year with no funding. Please help us enroll your kids early. Thank you for that commercial.
Public service announcement.
Public service announcement. It's a big deal. But basically, you see what's happening already in 21, 22, and some of this is COVID related. You had some pullback. They held their kids, and then you had a wave come back. So we've got a big wave of kids that are coming back for 2 or 3 years. This is a national phenomenon, not just a Pender County one. But we basically have a high number of children that are coming through your elementary schools. So as you plan for a bond, you also have to plan for that wave. And you need, in that, there's not a significant decrease behind it. It's still a strong population, but there is a huge wave coming. And as we build, we can't build with what you're looking at. You got to build where they're going. Because by the time you finish the school, these kids are going to be in middle school. by the time we get everything set. A lot of them that are in the upper grades in elementary. So the red and the purple is what we're worried about right there. As you can see, the orange and yellows in the other parts. So look at Pender Lee. I mean, that's up to 86 to 95%. We can control that. We've stopped transfers and things like that going to Pender Lee. But I just want people to realize this is not a unique situation in one area. It is starting to pepper out around this county. And as you guys receive requests to build homes more and more towards the west, you're going to start to see those colors start changing even more. So what you're going to look at here is basically an animation from 15-16 to now. And it'll give you an idea. It goes all the way out to 30. So this is the best study that we have to date. And it'll give you an idea. And I do this to say, well, maybe I don't do this. How do I hit that button? Is there a mouse I can pick? I need to press that button right there. I don't think if I go press the screen up there, it's going to work. I'm just saying.
Which button?
I need to press the play button up there. How do you do that? Who's in the computer back here? Just tell them to press the play button. The man behind the curtain. Pay no attention. There he is. Somebody's working back there. They hear me. They come back. What are we doing? There we go. So basically we do this push study. And the reason why is to show if we do nothing, will it cure itself? And that's what this is for. So this takes you all the way out to 30. And as you can see, we still have a problem if we do nothing different. And it's not going to get better. We're just going to become so overpopulated, we probably won't have a place to actually see children. Some of this stuff is people I know realize that, especially as you move toward the wetlands area, we don't have permission to even build any more property because of the runoff. Our permitting's gone at several of our school sites. So we couldn't even add a building if we wanted to. So if we do the same thing for middle school, we'll be a little faster on this one, not as many. You see a big red blob on the screen. There's obviously a problem. That's over 105% population there. That's the Topsail Middle School area. You notice there's still yellow out in other areas, so don't forget about it. But we're trying to hit the target population. So after we build, the last school in Surf City went up, you saw a separation, everything went to green. 18, 19, everybody thought we'd solve some problems. Population in this county is growing tremendously. I don't think that's no secret. You go right on up to today, and we're already back in yellow and another throbbing red. And that's today. So if we were to, people in the back, look at that from 15, 16, our first attempts to try to resolve that issue, and they did, but immediately it became another situation of planning for the next round. Can you hit play back there, please? Thank you. All right, somebody lunch. So this again is a test to see will it go away if we do nothing. And based on all the research that people that have been doing this for 40 plus years, and New Hanover and Charlotte and any other county in the state and others, it's not going away. It will not fix itself. So as we look at high school, even smaller group, you're seeing definitely a huge red blob there. That is Topsail High School, currently way over population. That's 17, 18, 18, 19. They didn't get any build out of the last construction bond. So they just keep growing, and they keep growing. There are over 1,500 kids today, and that population is increasingly building. This bond will take that into consideration and give you that push out for the next 7 to 10 years to be able to function in that area. Wizard, hit play please. Thank you. So as we do the same test, will this go away if we do nothing? It definitely will not go away. It will just become like the blob and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And here's your shock value for people who really think about where it's going. Remember that wave of kids we talked about in elementary? 2,000 kids at Topsail High School. That's coming. Those are numbers we know. We're not guessing. That's not houses that haven't been built. Those are kids in houses today. That's what's going to happen. That's why this is important. People have asked us, what exactly is it going to do? You're going to get a middle school and an elementary that are going to be huge. We're going to build them somewhere towards the New Hanover end, because we built out towards the Onslow end. You build one at that end, the kids all go out and then back into a larger high school. That's the cheapest, best economic way of doing it right now. So you'll get a huge middle school, huge elementary school. That'll be the crux of a lot of the money. We're also gonna build out Rocky Point, because as I made note, everything up there has a little orange towards the west. You better go ahead and add some wing on that school, because they're gonna be picking them up. We know there's building permits already happening in Rocky Point. Topsail Middle, they'll get a rebuild. Topsail Middle used to be a high school, then it became a middle school. So it can be converted back to a high school. There's a huge productive education process called Freshman Academy. That would be converted to a freshman academy. You would take over that whole building for the freshman class. It actually is a better thing for kids as they transition into high school to have that middle year there. So that proves and works. Burgall Middle basically is just at a point where it needs some rebuilding, and so we'll actually reconstruct some building on that school and give them a new cafeteria as well. Some other pieces as support buildings. I don't think people realize that right now we're running over 100 buses, million plus miles every year, just yellow buses. And we have a 4-bay garage that used to be an airplane hangar that was drug across from 1940s, I believe, and rebuilt and turned into a garage. That is the industrial commercial garage for this school system in that picture. We are far beyond the ability to function, and especially if we start adding buildings. So the board saw it was crucial that we actually have a support system to make all this happen. That, you know, you don't build something you can't support. So it would take $21,000 for central services and a $17,000 maintenance shop. And that would actually be drive-through, and we're hoping would allow us to actually pull all our buses to one location, or at least a huge group of them. Because right now, you're looking at most of the parking lot. There's not much more parking lot than what you see on that screen. So it's a bus or two at a time, and we actually try to work with the prisons occasionally to move some buses over there. So that's pretty much the crux of it and where it starts and begins. Take with me.
Could the education be better with less kids in a classroom?
So
Absolutely.
I won't
Is
let
their
you.
education
Hello.
being delivered to these students correctly? And
There we go. So basically, there are lots of videos. We're doing a huge piece. We're putting all this on a web page. If everything is good tonight, and you guys allow us, and you continue to support us, we'll actually by the end of this week have everything you've seen here tonight dedicated. Every meeting, every voting date, we'll have the FAQ page, everything set up for the public to be able to go to, and then we'll start working on a campaign so that we can guide them to those sites to get all the information they need about this and what it is and what it's all about.
Remind us, what is the total ticket on the bond referendum?
It is,
$178 million.
yeah, it's written, well, I thought it was written in total. I guess
It's in this,
So,
Sorry, I just like the song.
it's $178 million.
so 140 million is for 3 new schools and upfitting 2 Rocky Point, Topsail Middle.
I got we'll give you a whole breakdown sheet.
Yeah.
I've got
I'm just
I got a folder
trying
for
to get it
everyone.
on the record for right here as you're talking, just
Gotcha.
succinctly.
And we actually, we're hoping to get something looked at tonight, and so that we could actually advertise the site, but, and I don't wanna talk out of turn, but our chairman, Mr. Brad George, had a family crisis. And, I would, without sharing his information without his permission, I would ask that you would say a prayer for his family tonight. That, you know, he wanted to be here, and he definitely supports this, and definitely wanted to speak. But, we can share that information with you. We'll share a breakdown. It's all here, but we'll actually put it in writing where you can go to a website and look at it any minute you want to.
Okay.
And additionally, I just want to say, if the school board, the rest of the school board's actually here, a lot of them, Ms. Beth Burns, co-chair here, Ms. Cindy Fontana, Mr. Don Hall, would you guys stand? I mean, we have the support, not only externally, but internally as well. They see the value of this. If you work for Pender County Schools, will you stand up? We just want to make sure you recognize this is a team effort. This isn't just 1 or 2 people. And we'll put that information out there, and you're going to see lots and lots of videos coming. And it's just testimonies about the need for this and what's going on in this county. We love these children. These people work every day for these kids. This is the reason people come to this county. We all know it's not the money. It's these people right here. These people get you through pandemics and hurricanes and shelters, and they educate your children, and they put you in the top 10 school district in the state of North Carolina. And this is who we appreciate. This is what we're doing this for. So, any questions? Thank you, guys.
So, Dr. Hill, I'd like to thank you for providing this education and the amount of detail that you provided. This is a very complex issue,
Yes, sir.
and we continue to deal with it at quite a faster pace now. The span used to be, well, Pender High was built back in the 70s. It opened, about 75, 76, somewhere in there. Topsail High School was one of the next that was built. But certainly the span between the need is growing shorter and shorter as we go through time. Hopefully some of the information that you provided will address the public's comments I'm sure we have some other people. Before we go on, does anybody have a question up here for Dr. Hill before we go? Okay.
Well, actually, I have a comment. Dr. Hill, I want to thank you for your leadership. It's been a pleasure working with you. It's been a pleasure seeing our schools rating and ranking come up. And I know it's a joint effort and a team effort, but as the leader of that team, you've done a very good job.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you guys. More you know. We really do. Thank you.
All right. Do you have anything else? Okay.
Good.
I'm going to go ahead and read. I'm going to go ahead and read this notice that was put out for the public hearing, and then we'll proceed with the additional persons that have signed up. Let me read this first. Pender County Board of Commissioners has called a public hearing at 4 p.m. today related to the following bond order. Further information regarding the hearing appears at the end of this notice. This bond order authorizing the issuance of Pender County general obligation school bonds in the maximum amount of $178 million, subject to voter approval. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Pender County, North Carolina have stated its proposal to issue general obligation bonds to pay capital costs of providing school facilities. The county has applied to the North Carolina Local Government Commission for its approval of these bonds, and the commission has accepted the county's application. Be it ordered by the Board of Commissioners of Pender County as follows. There are hereby ordered to be issued general obligation school bonds of the county to pay capital cost of providing school facilities together with related financing and other necessary or incidental costs. Number 2, the maximum aggregate principal amount of the bonds issued for such purpose will be $178 million. Number 3, taxes will be levied in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds so issued. Number 4, a sworn statement of debt prepared by the county finance officer has been filed with the clerk to this board and is open to public inspection. Number 5, this bond order will take effect when approved by the county's voters in a manner provided by law. The foregoing order has been introduced and a sworn statement of debt has been filed under the Local Government Bond Act showing the appraised value of the property in Pender County, North Carolina to be at least, let's see if I get this right, $7,833,149,131. And the net debt of the county, including the proposed bonds, to not be more than $265,257,492. The Pender County Finance Officer has filed a statement estimating that the total amount of interest that will be paid on the bonds over the expected term is $93,450,000. The estimate is preliminary, is for the general information purposes only, and may differ from the actual interest paid on the bonds. A tax will be levied to pay the principal of and the interest on the bonds if they are issued. Anyone who wishes to be heard on this question of validity of the bond order and advisability of issuing the bonds may appear at the public hearing or an adjournment thereafter to be held at 4 p.m. on August 1st, 2022 in the board's regular meeting room, and that's where we are. Persons wishing to make written comments in advance of the hearing or wishing more information concerning the subject of the hearing may contact Margaret Blue, our finance officer for Pender County, and the information is provided in this written as to her address and her telephone number. So I wanted to make sure that that was all read in public. It contains some very informative and vital details to this process. So at this time, Madam Clerk, who else do we have signed up for public comment?
We have one sign up, Mr. Chairman, but I wanted to make sure, we have a couple that signed up on public comment. Mr. Paul, did you want to speak on the school bond or public comment? Okay, and Mr. Groves? Public, okay, I just wanted to make sure before we started. First, we have Frank Kierman. Okay. You'll have 3 minutes, sir.
I'm Frank Kiernan of Hampstead. I wanted to thank everybody for all the wonderful work that you guys have been doing, but I am confused about a couple of things. So 178 million and almost 94 million in interest. I mean, that sounds ridiculous. It's like almost 50% interest over the course of the bond. What about the cost of maintaining the said schools and all the other costs attached with running a school? Our current budget can't even handle the schools we already have. So isn't that going to increase taxes even more? Would be one of my biggest concerns. With so many new residents, and not including the children in some of these very large homes, we here still cannot somehow afford to school our children or support the infrastructure, which both are failing miserably. The additional revenue from the additional residents should be, you would imagine would be enough money to actually support what we have and what we've been doing, but it doesn't seem to be the case. If we do build more schools, I think we're opening up to allow developers to continue to overbuild in Hampstead. We want you jumping around because Dr. Hill did cover a lot of things that I had on here. So basically, I mean, here's an idea. How about you require the builders or developers to actually pay for schools if they want to continue to develop here? Have them pay for the additional roads and other expenses instead of putting it on your already overburdened taxpayers and see what happens. You know, and that I could only ask to stop overbuilding in Hampstead for the benefit of the whole county. I mean, we're really getting crammed in there in Hampstead, and this just doesn't seem like it's going to be a solution. And as well as we see a lot of stuff going on with building elementary schools and middle schools, but they all have to filter into one high school. Now, I didn't hear anything about building another high school. I don't remember about that, but that would be a big concern. It's because we already have a lot of elementary schools and middle schools filtering into Topsail High School. And as far as the other thing, there are a lot of wetlands. There's no more land for us to build any other schools in Hampstead because a lot of it's wetlands, but developers seem to have no problem finding land to put houses in. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's all the signups, but we did have email, so I'll read that aloud for the record.
Please.
From Deanna Johnson, Hampstead, North Carolina. She says, "Hello, I'm unable to attend today's meeting regarding the bond, but as a citizen of Pender County, I'm strongly against it. The interest alone is a ridiculous amount of money that we, the citizens, do not wish to pay."
Okay,
And that's all we have, Mr. Chairman.
all right.
Um,
Any comments from our board members?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to make one comment, not that I'm addressing, don't want to start a conversation on this today, but what I think the gentleman was referring to were maybe impact fees. And in the state of North Carolina, I wish we could put that on developers in the state of North Carolina. We cannot put impact fees on builders or developers. That state legislature would have to give us authority to do that, and I don't think you're gonna see that happen. So it's a struggle for us locally. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Newton, you have any comments?
I have no comment.
Mr. McCoy?
I'd just like to say that it's the taxpayers of Pender County that will, when they vote, will ultimately decide this. So, we can put this out for vote, but it's up to the voters of Pender County and the taxpayers to ultimately decide on the bond issue.
All right. I guess we can close the public hearing. I'll do that. We're going to close the public hearing and move on to the next agenda item, which is item 6, public comment. Do we have any signups?
Yes, sir,
Madam
Mr.
Clerk?
Chairman. Kenny Keel?
I just want to real briefly introduce y'all to one of Utility's newest employees, Pender County Public Utilities new project manager is Katie Lubner. She just started this week, and we're real happy to have her here. And I just wanted y'all to put a face to her, to a name, because I'm sure you'll hear about good things she's doing for the county, and just want to make that introduction to you.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Glad to have you. I know Mr. Keel is. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask Mr. Keel, because he won't hesitate to ask us. All right. Any others?
Mr. Groves?
Good afternoon. My name is Jared David Groves, 250 Horseshoe Loop Road, Burgaw, North Carolina, 68-year resident of Pender County. My concern tonight is it has come to my attention over on Bridle Creek Road behind Mappers Corner School, at least one citizen, I don't know how many, is getting charged $35 a month for water, but they are not hooked up. How can we charge someone for water if they're not receiving the goods? But if someone could answer that, and it just so happens that person is my daughter, a young couple struggling to make it, and they're not hooked up to the water. They paid to get the system in and have the meter, but they do not want the water, but yet they are paying for it. If someone could help me with that, please.
So have you spoke to Mr. Mr. Keel?
No, I'm speaking tonight.
Okay. So I would suggest, Mr. Groves, that you would contact Pender County Utilities, which is a separate entity, and they should be able to provide an answer for that.
Even better, catch that man behind you right outside in the hall.
It's $390 a year. They've been doing it for 2 years. Somebody owes them some money.
Again, the right way to deal with this is to contact Pender County Utilities. They can't address the issue if they haven't been contacted. All right, anybody else signed up for public comment? Great. All right, at this time, we'll move on to the consent agenda. There are several items on the consent agenda. Everybody's had a chance to review those items.
Motion for approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Consent agenda is approved. We move on to item 8, approvals and resolutions. 8.1, proposed school bond order adoption and resolution regarding publication of the bond referendum. Ms. Blue and Mr. Jessup. And we're getting to see Mr. Jessup and Mr. Cole.
So this is the bond order. This is the same bond order that you read as an or that Mr. Jessup read as an introduction.
And there's nothing been changed, correct?
That's correct. It is the
Okay.
exact same. It's
Okay.
just, this is the official adoption of the resolution of the bond order. And I can read it again if you'd like. It's very similar to the notice that you just read. But it's the same one that was read at the last meeting. And then the resolution for the Board of Elections to put this on the actual ballot.
Okay. We did not read that resolution last time, did we? Did we
No,
read that?
I'm happy to do that.
Please do.
Sure. Resolution regarding publication of bond order and details for bond referendum. Whereas there has been adopted at this meeting a bond order entitled as follows. Bond order authorizing the issuance of Pender County General Obligation School bonds in the maximum amount of $178 million, subject to voter approval. And whereas the bond order is to take effect when approved by the voters. And whereas the general statutes require certain additional actions to complete the process of authorizing the bonds and the bond referendum. And be it therefore resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Pender County, North Carolina as follows. 1, the clerk to this board is directed to publish a notice of the adoption of this bond order in the form provided for in section 159-58 of the general statutes, one time in a newspaper having general circulation in the county. 2, the bond order will be subject to a bond referendum to be held within the county on November 8th, 2022. 3, the ballot question will be in the following form. Pender County School Bonds. Shall the order authorizing Pender County General Obligation Bonds in the maximum amount of $178 million plus interest to pay capital costs of providing school facilities and paying related costs, and providing that additional taxes may be levied in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds, as adopted by the county's Board of Commissioners on August 1st, 2022, be approved. Yes or no? 4, the board directs the clerk to this board to transmit a certified copy of this resolution to the Pender County Board of Elections within 3 days after today. 5, the board requests that the Pender County Board of Elections conduct the referendum in a manner provided for by law. 6, the board directs the clerk of this board to publish notice of the bond referendum as required by section 159-61 of the general statutes.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Blue or Mr. Jessup or Mr. Cole? We have a elite group of people here today.
Yes.
All right. I guess we'll consider a motion.
Motion approved.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor? It passes unanimously.
Mr. Jessup.
Mr. Jessup.
Excuse me if I might, Mr. Chairman. If we
You're
could-
not gonna change your mind now, are you?
If we could clarify that that's a motion on both the bond order and the resolution, if that's what you intended, or if you intended to make it on one or the other.
A
Just to be
motion
clear.
on the bond order and on the, actually, I
And the
was,
resolution. That's the question, yeah.
yes. My motion was specifically for the resolution, but I didn't state that, so.
And if then if I
We
may.
need to make a motion for the order, I guess.
If I might, it'd be appropriate to make the motion on the order first. But
Yes.
Okay.
So make a motion on the order that was previously read by Chairman Peacock.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor? That passes unanimously.
Now, a motion on the resolution that was read by Ms. Blue.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blue.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Jessup and Mr. Cole.
May I make a comment?
Sure, you may make a comment, Commissioner Newton.
Nobody wants to think about raising taxes. But I don't think there's anything that we have to do that's more important than the future of our children. And I've said that before, and I say this again. We have to have and provide for the education of our children. That's our future, and that's their future. So the taxpayers will decide.
Can I add something?
Go ahead, Commissioner Brown.
This is our responsibility to make sure we're giving the voters in this county their opportunity to make this decision. That's what we're doing here today. I did not see any reason not to give the voters this decision. But at the end of the day, it will be our decision as a county, as county voters, it'll be our decision. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. We're going to move on to item 8.2, approval of resolution affirming Pender County's intentions to maintain alignment of its workforce development local area. And I'm going to turn this over to Commissioner Brown. He's been involved with this resolution and with this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a couple of folks here tonight I'm going to ask up in just a minute, but just real briefly, what this is about is Workforce, North Carolina Works Commission has recommended that the state workforce development system be realigned, which means that Columbus County would be removed from our workforce here with our 4-county area. I think all the counties affected, which are New Hanover, Brunswick, Pender, and Columbus, all disagree with this. I think all 3 of the other counties have already passed their resolutions as we're being asked to pass tonight, which was a recommendation we made in the meeting a few months ago. I think this is very important in a lot of ways because it's not just workforce. We have 4 counties that are part of the Calgon Council of Government. It's not just that, we're District 4. These same 4 counties are all part of District 4 with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. Our RPO, MPOs, they include all of this area, this region. I'm not sure why Commerce has suggested this. I'm not sure about a lot of things when it comes to Commerce, but I'm going to save those comments for later. I would like to ask Alan Serkin, who is our Council of Government Director, and Ginger Brick, who is our Workforce Development Director with the COG, to come up and kind of help me out with this a little bit, explain to folks what's actually going on here. I may not have done the best job at it, but help me out with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Members of the Commission, Alan Serkin, as Commissioner Brown said, Executive Director of the Cape Fear Council of Governments. Happy to be here before you guys today. I'll try to keep it brief, but if you've got questions, if I don't go into enough detail, then please do ask away. As Commissioner Brown stated, the statewide NC Works Commission has been for many months now, maybe 6 months or more, been discussing whether or not to recommend realignment of the state's workforce development system. As Commissioner Brown stated, Pender County, along with New Hanover, Brunswick, and Columbus County, are currently aligned as a region. The Cape Fear Council of Governments is the administrative entity that administers the federal funds that fund those programs, and so we're the administrative house, really, the administrative agency where that program is run. Back in February, Commissioner Brown, along with the county commissioners from the other 3 counties of the Council of Governments that serve on the Council of Governments board, sent a letter to the NC Works Commission saying, we like our alignment, please leave us alone and don't realign us. Nevertheless, in March, the NC Works Commission did recommend realignment of the system, but, you know, most of us would assume that realignment means realigned to some new alignment. They simply recommended guidelines for realignment and made realignment voluntary. And so while they recommended realignment, they didn't actually do any realignment per se. They did request that each of the county respond back to the NC Works Commission indicating each county's intentions, whether or not they would like to realign or not, again, because they made it voluntary. Recently, Brunswick, Columbus, and New Hanover counties have all either sent a letter or passed a resolution, but taken some kind of action to notify the NC Works Commission that they're happy with the current alignment, do not wish to realign, and want to maintain the current alignment. And so Commissioner Brown, as the COG delegate for Pender County, but as well, the 4 county commissioners that are COG delegates are also on what's called the NC Works Commission, and they sort of help with an extra level of the Cape for Workforce Development Commission, Consortium, thank you, provide extra oversight at the local level. And so Commissioner Brown asked me to bring this to your attention for the county to consider the resolution that is in your packet. And hopefully that's enough detail, but if you have any questions, we're happy to answer as much as you
What
want.
would be the purpose for realigning? Just,
I'm not sure I've not heard a reason. I've not even heard a good excuse for realignment.
There are several suggestions from NC Commerce, better aligning workforce development with economic development regions, you know, and other efforts at the state level. I think personally, I think that what the state has frankly failed to recognize is the local preference in this, and that if the local area is working well together and has good communication, that the alignment is appropriate, and that any alignment is going to have its pros and cons, and we can achieve what we need to achieve by communicating with other areas or other entities and organizations as necessary, as long as we've got good internal communication. And we believe that the COG is that framework, and the 4 counties that are working together provides a good opportunity to achieve that.
And these 4 counties do work well together, and which we work together. And as I said earlier, we're all members of the COG, not just workforce development, members of the COG. We're in this region, District 4, I think we are, right, Tara? With the Association of County Commissioners. So it's our region. I just hate to see us start breaking that up.
And I'll just add one other thing. NC Commerce actually released in October a study of analyzing the interconnected labor markets in the state, and our 4 counties were identified as a labor market. And so perhaps in other parts of the state there is reason to consider realignment, but I think at least in our part of the state it doesn't seem to make any sense, at least not from our perspective.
We're not being specifically targeted. This is something that is a statewide recommendation. And as Alan said, there was not a specific recommendation that was given. So we are not being targeted. And to answer your question, Commissioner, there is no real reason.
so I agree with Commissioner Brown. We do work well together on economic development, resiliency issues, and other tourism issues. We just work well together. I'm happy with the way things are. Myself.
We work closely with Cape Fear Community College and Economic Development, which do kind of have a footprint that covers both Pender and New Hanover counties. And so we do work very closely with them. And the private sector board members that sit on the Cape Fear Workforce Development Board are appointed and approved by Commissioner Brown. So we make sure that there's good representation of Pender County in everything that we do.
So I would ask our board to pass this resolution tonight. And I would make the motion to pass the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner
Thank you,
Brown.
folks.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you for coming in.
Appreciate it. 8.3, approval of the sale of surplus property and results of an auction for East Church Street in Atkinson. Ms. Blue.
Yes, so this is a property that previously was jointly owned by Pender County and the town of Atkinson through tax foreclosure. The town of Atkinson had written a letter surplusing their interest to make it easier to auction it, but this was put on GovDeals per your direction several meetings ago. The highest bid was from Mr. Forrest from Andrew, North Carolina for $9,000. The tax value of this property is $18,885, but the building as it sits is kind of a liability because it's in disrepair, and this gentleman wants to remedy that situation.
So this is the property the pharmacy was on? Pharmacy property?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. I know, the building's really in bad need of, deterioration.
So it's our recommendation that we approve the sale of this property to Mr. Forrest for $9,000.
Which is subject to upset bids.
No, because we auctioned it, live auction to the public for 31 days, we don't actually have to do an upset bid process.
Okay.
Are we now going that direction with all our properties?
It has worked out very well.
Because I thought in the beginning that piece of property was available for an upset bid.
I
So
think
It was. the
I think
first
maybe
time.
at one point in time it was, but I don't know that situation ever panned out the way it was supposed to. I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't know,
honestly.
because someone had asked me about that, and I told them they had the opportunity through an upset bid to,
It was listed for 31 days. This is just our recommendation to you all. If there's a need to re-advertise, we can.
Do you want to put it in an upset bid situation?
no, I wasn't necessarily asking. I gave the folks the information and told them they could contact the county, that they had the opportunity then to go into an upset bid situation, and
Yes.
evidently they did not.
They either contacted Andy and chose not to, or maybe they were part of the bid process and weren't the highest bid. I can
Is
look
Andy
into
here?
it for you. Yes. Andy's
Could
not
I
there
ask
this
him a
morning.
question real quick, and then
Sure.
we'll move on with this? Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Pretty good, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hey, did you have many people inquire on this piece of property?
We had close to 16,000 people view the parcel with over 500 interested parties.
Well, I'm sure. they were
That's
probably-
pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
That covers all the bases.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. I'm satisfied, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any other questions out of the board members? All right, we'll consider a motion.
Motion to approve. This is my district.
Okay, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. That motion carries. Please notify the lucky new landowner, building owner.
Yes.
Okay. All right. 8.4, approval of offer and authorization closing process for sale of surplus property. Ms. Blue.
Yes, this is a property on Highway 117 in Rocky Point. The parcel number is listed. The winning bid was $10,400 to a Mr. Ibrahim. And the tax value of this property is $7,850.
Any questions for Ms. Blue on this?
Let's get it more than the tax value, so that pleases me a lot.
Yes, Andy has had a lot of success with the GovDeals Avenue approach.
Good.
It's a lot more exposure than our website.
This is a very small tract also.
Any other questions for Ms. Blue on this item?
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
We got a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Please make sure we notify the lucky winner. All right, we're going to move on to 8.5, approval of budget amendment for state seizure budget for fiscal year 2022 through 2023. Sheriff Cutler.
Good
Good to see
afternoon.
you.
Good to see y'all. This is just a request for this seizure money to be placed in the budget for supplies, contract services, training, and capital outlay / vehicles. Seizure money.
Any questions for the sheriff? At this time, we'll consider a motion.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion, and we have 2 seconds. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. All right, at this time, we're gonna come up on some discussion items.
8.6.
Oh, we have to do 8.6. You're right. Thank you, Commissioner Newton, for keeping me on task. All right, I'll turn it over to you.
It was self-serving.
I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners is having their annual convention in Concord the second week in August. And at the annual convention, they caucus to approve resolutions pertaining to plank issues that are of interest to all of us all across the state, and require delegates, one voting delegate from each county to vote on these issues. And since I'm going, I would like to be appointed the Pender County voting delegate for the North Carolina Association of County
That
Commissioners.
would be a good thing.
Yeah, this is important. I've been to quite a few of these over the years, and I tell you, it makes a difference.
Yeah, we
Make your voice
appreciate,
heard.
we appreciate her
You
going
know,
to.
she's got a strong voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, very strong.
All right. now.
She'll be good for us. She'll look out for our interest. Thank you. I appreciate you going.
These are the platforms like the tier rating system, how we determine whether or not states, what to lobby for in Raleigh for all counties across the state. It sounds like they're giving me a hard time, but
No, we're not.
You're actually coming up with like the top 5 items. You all agree on that, and then everybody gets behind it.
That's right. That's right. So it's a critical meeting, and it does have some new discussion items from time to time, and the priorities change based on those discussion items. So it's a worthwhile, and we appreciate you going.
thank you.
So I'll make the motion if you want me to add.
Absolutely.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Newton. All right, at this time, we'll move on to 9.1 discussion. As many individuals know, we have a number of boards that each of us serve on. I asked the clerk to make us aware of each of these boards. We do this annually, usually at the first meeting of right after elections. So,
December.
yeah, and but seeing how Commissioner Williams has resigned and he has a vast number of committees and boards that he has supported throughout the years and represented us on. So I wanted to make sure that, given that we only have 4 up here, that if any of these boards are of interest to our current seated members, they have the opportunity to sit on those boards if they so choose.
Mr. Chairman, I kind of hoped that we would get the other commissioner in before we actually divided these boards up. I thought that might be kind of fitting to have the new person coming in to be a part of this. At least that's kind of the way I looked at it.
And that is fine. So I appreciate your comment.
But having said that, I would like to be considered for the New Hanover Hospital Board. There's some pretty significant decisions that are being made currently, and decisions that would strategically affect the amount and quality of health care for the folks and the citizens of Western Pender County.
Okay. Yeah, there's Mr. Williams had the fire EMS. He also sat on the Kiwanis Park Board. He sat on New Hanover County Regional Hospital Board, the Pender Memorial Hospital Board, the Wilmington Business Development Board, Priority One, and Workforce Planning. So that's a large number of boards.
That's actually two boards, the Pender Memorial Hospital and the New Hanover Hospital. It's like two different boards, actually. They work together, I know, but, you know.
All right. So do we have to vote on reassignments of these, or do?
Yes, sir. Right, Trey?
Yes.
Okay. So can we do it all at one time, Trey? If there's others?
Yes, sir. You can.
Okay. So is anybody else interested in any of these other?
Wilmington Business Development.
It's a big one.
No.
Yeah, the reason the hospital board is pretty big is we're in the final year of our lease. We've been in a long-term lease with formerly New Hanover County. It's now Novant for the operation of Pender Memorial Hospital. And we originally had received some unsolicited proposals, and we've been in discussions with Novant after the transition occurred, and we just feel like it's, in the best interest to go out for bid on that one. So the person sitting on the New Hanover County Regional Hospital Board and the Pender Memorial Hospital Board, that's pretty vital over this next year. We need to be active and participate in this last year of this lease. And that's not to say that Novant won't participate in the bid process. They're certainly welcome to participate in it. We're just trying to seek out all our options and elevate the quality and the quantity of services offered. So is nobody else interested in any of these?
I thought this was a discussion item tonight.
It is.
Are we planning on voting on this tonight? I'm just asking because it's listed in the book as a discussion item, not as a resolution item.
Okay.
If that's the case, I'm not gonna vote to add it to the agenda.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
You seem a little pointed this evening.
I am. I thought we started going down the path of having to add it to the agenda if you're gonna vote on it. And I know you guys wanna distribute these boards, but I'm telling you, you got another board member coming on that has a right to some of these boards too. I'm just trying to do the right thing in my mind, and so I can't agree with this.
Okay, so you're right that we will have a board member take David Williams' place.
So next month.
But there's a lot more level of understanding under the current board members of all these boards. And the new person, given the importance of WBD and the hospital boards, it was my thought that it would be in the best interest of the county for continuity, because all these individuals, everybody up here served at least 6 years. They know the current situation. They know what is going on around each of these boards. Fire EMS, Kiwanis Park, the hospitals, WBD. They're all important. They're very important.
So when does bid go out?
So I'm not sure that it's going to be appropriate or in the best interest of the county for a new individual.
Well,
Take those
I
boards
can
over.
appreciate that.
And this will reoccur in December 5th or December first meeting, when is the first meeting in December?
It's the first Monday in December. So I can understand that, and I can appreciate that. Yeah. Mr. Tate is the one that evidently will be coming on this board. And he is not a new person. He has served several years as a county commissioner. He's familiar with a lot of these boards. I'm just saying, I thought the fair thing to do would be to bring that individual on board and then distribute these. But you can put it on the next agenda, and then you all can do with it whatever you want to.
Should a new board member be on next month? Like 30 days?
No, there's no time limit. The GOP has 30 days to give their nomination. And then once they give their nomination, we have to take action on that.
I understand it's the next 30 days, I think.
No,
Isn't it?
no, that's not what it says. The GOP in this case, or the party of the member that's no longer on the board, has 30 days in writing to submit their nomination. And then we are obligated
So we
to,
can make a recommendation if we have to vote on it.
but there's no time frame associated with it.
I mean, they've already made that decision. We're just, it's in our lap now.
It is. But I don't think that Mr. Tate is up to date on all these issues. He may be.
In the next meeting, you all can decide that without me. You won't need me, you won't need my vote on that. But I'm not gonna go along with this tonight.
This is a discussion item. You just
That's
pointed
what I
that
know.
out.
As long as this is a discussion item, we're good. Okay?
All right.
So they're not for discussion.
I didn't mean this to be a point of contention. I wish you would have called me before the meeting if you had.
Well, I didn't because it was listed as a discussion item. Then somebody said something about voting on it.
I asked the attorney if we had to vote on it to make it.
Okay. We're good.
Doesn't seem that way. It doesn't feel
We
that
are.
way.
We're good.
All right. I've already talked about Pender Memorial Hospital. Is there any other comments that the board members would like to make regarding that situation?
Well, the other heavy board is going to be Pender EMS and Fire in light of what's going to come on in the future.
Yeah. So, I've moved on from that. I've moved on to the second bulleted item, Pender Memorial Hospital operations. As I already stated, we've put out an request for qualifications. We've had a lot of interest, gotten some questions. We've responded back to the questions. There's some qualified personnel out there. We're going to be possibly going into the interview process here very quickly. And again, this was the result of a couple of years worth of meetings and discussions relative to the future of Pender Memorial Hospital. So we didn't do this in haste. I think it's in the best interest of the citizens, as I said. I'm not really sure why anybody would be against possibly putting forth this for bid to see what our options are.
For timeline, what are we looking at for the bid school now, probably?
So the person that we're looking at to run this, whether it be a consulting firm or a project director, they will help with all that process. I looked at one of the submittals, one of the applicants today, they have a well-defined timeline in there. This is a company that's done this all across the country and also done it right here at Kinston, so.
So doesn't Hanover County put theirs out for bids? I mean, they handle it for them, Hanover County, when they went out for bids? You know, the hospital?
No, this entity did not indicate that they handled this for New Hanover County. We asked for qualifications for the people that are gonna oversee this activity, Commissioner McCoy.
Yeah.
That's what we're in right now. We're trying to find a person to run the process.
So I say, New Hanover County, when they did put it, they do out for bids, though, didn't they? They put it out for bids?
Yeah.
So I think you can all.
This is one step before that, Mr. McCoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to look at the time frame here.
Well, it's gotta be done before June of next year,
Yeah, fine.
right?
Mr. Chairman, the RFP closed today.
So I'm just trying to keep the public informed of where we're at in this process. So the RFP closed today. We'll look at who's shown interest, and the next step would be to either repost or to select some of those entities that applied for interviews. And hopefully we'll have somebody selected fairly quickly. All right. I'm going to move on unless there's any questions or comments from the other board members. I'm going to move on to appointments.
If you need any help reviewing those.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna call up Mr. Travis Henley for an update on the Board of Adjustments before we start.
Thank you, Tara. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We've received 2 resignations from the Board of Adjustment in the past couple weeks. As the board probably knows, but maybe the public doesn't know, for the Board of Adjustment, a quorum is 4, not 3. A lot of that is defined by state statute. It takes 4 votes of the Board of Adjustment to grant a variance. We do have alternates right now, and there is an appointment for District 3 on the agenda tonight. But as of today, we only have 4 members total of the Board of Adjustment, and 2 of those are alternates. And so we're still missing, hopefully District 3 gets covered tonight, but we're still missing Districts 4 and 5. If anyone in the public is watching and wants to join us on the Board of Adjustment, we'd love to have you. Okay. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, first we have Judy Smith is applying for reappointment to the Pender County ABC Board. Her application was attached for the board review. If approved, this appointment would be for 3 years and expire January 31st, 2025. And we also have Owen Honeycutt, who is applying for initial appointment to the ABC Board, representing District 1. And his application was attached as well. And his appointment will be for 3 years and expire January 31st, 2025.
Do either of them sit on other boards?
No, ma'am. Not those 2.
Well, it could be like he's qualified, yeah. Sure.
Are there 2 positions open or 1?
2. Well, the Judy Smith, she's for reappointment.
Okay.
And then Owen Honeycutt is.
To fill another vacancy.
Yes, sir.
So we don't have more applicants than we have vacancies.
No, sir.
Okay.
Does
All
that, does that fill that board up, those two vacancies, is that all there are?
There should be, District 2 and District 4.
Yeah. So, yeah, Matt Woods is on the west side. So, I know of Mr. Woods, and I think he'd be an excellent candidate. Do you want to vote on these two as a block or individually?
I think it matters.
Yeah, well, I make a motion
I'll second.
that we approve both of them. One for reappointment and one as a new member.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. That carries. Item 10.2.
We have Matthew Woods is applying for reappointment to the Pender County Tourism Advisory Board, and he represents District 4.
Okay, maybe I wasn't clear. I asked, were either of those two on other boards? So Matt Woods, we just voted
No, ma'am.
onto the ABC board.
No, ma'am. Judy Smith and Owen Honeycutt.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong. I swear I thought I was looking at the, I was wondering why Matt wanted to be on the ABC board.
Does that, that doesn't
Then I
affect your
don't-
motion, right? You're okay with leaving the other two?
Mr.
on?
Owen Honeycutt, I don't know.
And
But-
the ABC board, they came recommended
Okay,
by the ABC board.
all right, then I stand on my motion for 1 and 2. So that's a done deal, right?
Yeah, so 10.2.
Matthew Woods is applying for reappointment to the Pender County Tourism Advisory Board representing District 4. His application was attached for the board review. If approved, the appointment will be for 3 years and expire January 31st, 2025.
Motion approved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. That one approved is approved. Please make sure we notify those individuals. 10.3.
Peggy Arsenault, and I apologize if I messed your name up, is applying for appointment to the Pender County Tourism Development Advisory Board, representing the open collector position. Her application is attached for the board review. If approved, this appointment will be for 3 years and expire January 31st, 2025.
So these collector positions are very, very important. I don't remember how many we have to have, and I don't, do we have 2 now? If we,
Didn't we just put one on there a while back?
Yes, sir.
Well, she's worked for the Greater Topsail Chamber of Commerce and have worked tourists,
yeah, she's qualified.
yeah, so motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. 10.4.
And then we have one more, this would conclude the ABC board round. Alexa Fritz is applying for appointment to the Pender County ABC board, representing the at-large open position. Her application was attached for review. The appointment would be for 3 years and expire January 31st, 2025.
Yeah, but she's got a Wilmington address.
She owns, property.
But you live in Wilmington. Amesbury.
So this
Oh, I'm
is an
sorry, it's for
ABC,
the-
this is
it's for the
tourism.
TD It's for the tourism board.
Yes, tourism.
My apologies.
That's okay.
This is a lot of appointments.
Yes, ma'am, it is. So she lives in Wilmington, but she has a business
She
in,
owns 2 businesses. She's a realtor and owns 2 businesses in Pender County, which still qualifies her.
And she
To
is
serve on
a
the board.
member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, ma'am.
she has, she's well qualified. that was a good question around the residency. I actually didn't catch that.
Motion approved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Which they,
It's unanimous.
which if they live in certain areas of,
They could have
Scotts
one.
Hills, they could have a Wilmington address.
Yep.
It's still
Just
pay
like
Pender
Willard
County
people-
Well, they
taxes.
live in Pender, but part of it is
Yeah.
Wilmington address.
The Willard people sometimes have Wallace address,
Yeah, they
some
do.
of them. All right, 10.5, excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, you- Brett Keller is applying for appointment to the Pender County Board of Adjustment representing District 3 open position. His application was attached. If approved, his appointment would be for 3 years and expire January 31st. Also, he will be coming up on the next agenda for possibly appointment to the Tourism Board as well.
I will support him for Board of Adjustment.
This one.
No,
This, yeah,
this is what.
I don't-
This is just for Board of Adjustment.
and I don't know him, but his credentials look good, so.
Third, the district.
Got a master's degree.
New Hanover County Special Board of Equalization and Review.
Yeah,
He was on the New Hanover County
Yeah.
Board of Adjustment.
Yeah.
I'd say he's a worthy candidate.
so I'll make the motion to approve that.
You got a motion and a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Make sure we notify all these individuals.
Yes, sir.
All right, any need to gavel in on any of these water and sewer districts, Mr. Keel? All right. How about the Board of Health? Ms.
Not unless
Mosner?
you have any specific questions.
I was looking for you out there.
You're a sneaker.
Yeah, I should have known you were sitting right over there. And how about social services? Do we need to? Thank you, Wes. All right, we're items for the county attorney. Go ahead, Trey, you got anything for us?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that, was out there was, go into closed session under item 3, attorney-client privilege. That was all Tara, Calgon, I think that's all that was on the list.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Trey?
Thank you, sir.
All right.
No, sir.
Mr. Van?
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman, but thank you, sir.
Sure. Ms. Mosner?
No, I do not.
Okay. Commissioner Bryant? Commissioner Newton?
Well, yes, it appears that the budget just approved has $32 million available to the education system for safety training, for students in crisis, and for safety equipment. So I'm hoping that our local Board of Education will avail themselves of some of that funding. There is a budget for $14.8 million in mental health programs available. And some other things of interest that I'll speak to on a one-on-one basis. But it looks like some good grant opportunities there and funding opportunities.
Okay. Mr. McCoy?
I had a meeting a few weeks ago with the DOT, traffic engineer, division traffic engineer, and we were talking about last time about the Malcolm's Corner Road, and they've agreed to put the flashing warning light we install there in the next month, so.
Wonderful.
I thought that's cool.
Wonderful.
And
There's been a
so,
wreck there every week. There was one last week and the
Yeah.
week before last.
see, they put the flashing lights on the stop, I mean, the big flashing lights. we should-
Wonderful. That's great news.
Okay,
Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Good job.
We had a meeting with, at our monthly WMPO meeting, we had North Carolina Division of Transportation come and give us a presentation about funding options for replacement of the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge. That was per a request from the WMPO. It was a very good presentation. I learned quite a bit out of it. We had some special guests from Raleigh. Just want to let everybody know that there's still a lot of ongoing discussions about that bridge. It's near the end of its life, and the maintenance costs are going up every year. It was built in 1969, and it's a movable bridge, so it's a drawbridge.
69, is it 59?
69.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to let everybody know that that continues to be a hot topic. Of course, tolls were one of the funding options, and then there's the standard option, which is going through a competitive process. It would literally eat up all the regional funds or all the divisional funds for Division 3 and 2 for the next 10 years if it fell in that bucket. So it's not going to get funded out of that bucket. And it doesn't have enough points. It only has enough points to put it in about 40 percentile. And in order to get funded, you need to be in the top 80% or better. So it's probably not going to get funded through the state either. We asked for alternatives that would help us for grants of possibly applying through the STIP for design and for some other.
What is the STIP?
It's the program by which criteria is applied to rate all the transportation projects in the state of North Carolina.
Inflation makes everything go up even faster, but the cost of inflation
Is
has an
this,
effect
is
on the
this the
truck.
bridge that they had the conversation for the Skyline Bridge in the past? That came up, what, 5-6 years ago?
No, the South Bridge, the fourth bridge, was completely, it's dead. So that's why this bridge now becomes very, very important. There's a lot of cars that go over that bridge every day. Even though we have 2 other bridges, there's a lot of cars that go over that bridge every day. I think the number was 166,000, but I might be off. But it seems like that number sticks in my head. So it's a heavily used, that's probably part of the reason it's deteriorating. It's also a movable span. That's another reason it's deteriorating. And so I just wanted everybody to know that it came up. We asked for other options. We made suggestions on how to get partial funding that improve our ability to get grant funds, which therein help our position in the state to compete at the state level. If we get grant funding and we do some other things, if we get the design done, if the more work we can do, it heightens our ability to compete at the state level. So this is important to the region. And I just wanted to let everybody know that it's still being worked. Even though it's pretty well split among the WMPO board, which is interesting to me.
Was
All
there any
right.
recent discussion with DOT about the bypass?
Bypass started, they're clearing trees. They started acquisition of land in between 210 and I-140, and it's rolling. It still remains the top priority in the region. fully funded.
Is there a chance that bridge could be replaced? You know, kind of like what they did in Charleston, they built one while the other one's being used?
Yes.
Okay, so they won't have to shut it down?
Well, I'm not the project manager for it, so but there is a chance that it could keep operational. The talk was that they were gonna build the new bridge southeast of the current bridge, just a little bit, so that they could keep driving, like they did Lanes Ferry, you could keep driving on Lanes Ferry. And then when they got done with the new bridge, they tore the old bridge down and we switched over on Lanes Ferry, remember? So, I think that's the plan, George.
We got $1 trillion, infrastructure bill that passed. You know, a lot of that's going for climate change, not for infrastructure. Found out some time ago. A big part of it's going for climate change, not for infrastructure. They claim it's all going for infrastructure. So many bridges in the country need replacement, and it's a shame.
All right, so that's all I have. With that, unless you guys have anything else, I guess we can move to.
Ready for a motion for closed session?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to go into closed session under items 3, attorney-client.
Do we have a second? We have a second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? We are in closed session.
Pause for the comments.